Rise and shine, porcupines. It's Algebra with Al time. I'm your host, Al Rosetti. Today we're looking at Chapter 5, Unit 3, Polynomial Functions. After watching this video, students will be able to evaluate polynomial functions and identify the different functions, okay? So the concept, polynomial functions, the skill is identifying them. So, what do you say we get started? All right, so look at number 1 here. Right now, all they want us to do is come up with some basic properties for these. So they want what? The leading coefficient in one variable and explain if it is not a polynomial. So the first one, of course, is a polynomial. The degree is 1, right? The leading coefficient is 1. Now, we all know at this point in our lives that if there's no value in front of the variable, it's 1, right? So, leading coefficient is 1, the degree is 1. All right, now, number 2, well, guess what? So they want to add a little bit of, a degree of difficulty here. Well, you're going to have to multiply this out before you can come up with those values, right? You're going to have to multiply these polynomials together. Now, I don't know, I use, FOIL, there's the box method, there's the vertical method, horizontals, all kinds of different ways you could do the multiplication here, right? But the way I like to do it, I actually like to use FOIL, but I think I'm going to show you the vertical method because I think that's a good way for you guys to do it and to stay organized, right? So, here we go. Now, when we're all said and done, right, multiplying this together, take a look at the answer. What would be our leading coefficient here? Does that make sense? If you put it in standard form and it's in the right order, leading coefficient is always going to be the first term, right? That's just what leading, like you're leading the race. So our leading coefficient is 8, right? And what is our degree? Well, what's the highest exponent? It's 3, right? And that's also part of leading coefficient. So our leading coefficient is 8 and our degree is 3. Looking at number 3, it's already in standard form, so we don't have to do anything to this but identify. So what do we got? Our degree is 5 and our leading coefficient is -5. Okay, let's take number 4. There you go. How about number 5? So u cubed, that should be u cubed. I say I wrote squared plus 4u squared plus t to the 4th, right? So what would be the leading coefficient and the degree? Well, guess what? As soon as you see there's 2 variables, well, that doesn't meet our requirement. It wants us to figure out the polynomial. It says in the directions in one variable. So this one's actually pretty easy. It's not a polynomial. Okay? That's all we got to do. All right. Number 7. So here we're going to evaluate these functions. And what does that mean? Well, they're telling us they want us to plug in -1, do it, and then -2 and do it. So we're going to have to do 2 of those values for each one of these problems. So we put -1 in, and what we have to remember and make sure is when we write our answer, we want to substitute in the value so that we know, or others know, what we plugged in. So p to the -1 equals 7. That's how you want to write your answer. So now we got to plug in p2. So we go that, and we get p to the 2nd, right, equals -2. So p2 equals -2. You want to put what you substitute in as part of your answer so everybody knows what you evaluated for. All right, -1. Here we go, number 8. So 3 times 1, right, plus 1 squared. What do we get? So p -1, right, equals what? -2. All right, now we're going to put it in 2, p of 2. So when we do that, for p of 2, what do you get? You get 3 times 2 plus 2 squared. Well, 3 times 2 is 6, 2 squared is 4, and in the end, you're going to get 24, right? P of 2 equals 24. And that's what you got to do. You got to make sure that you put the P of 2, or whatever the term is you substituted in your answer. All right, number 9. -2, -1 squared, right? -4 times -1 plus 1. So we had our open set of parentheses, we put all our values in, now it's just some simple math, right? And so P of negative 1 equals what? That's where we're at. So I got negative 2 minus 4 plus 1. And in my world, guess what that equals? Negative 1. That's right. All right, so here we go. Number 10. Oh no, I'm sorry. Let me back that up. We got to put in 2 now. So we got negative 2 squared times 2 squared, right? Minus 4 times negative 2 plus 1. Do all the math here. All right, so you got 2 squared is 4 times negative 2 is 8. Then we got negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 plus 1. That looks like negative 15 to me all day. What do you think? All right, so here we go. Moving on, number 10. So number 10, we have P of x equals negative 2x cubed plus 5x plus 3. Substitute in our negative 1 first. Same thing, open set of parentheses, plug in the values, do some simple math, right? So 2 times negative 1 squared plus 5 times negative 1 plus 3. Negative 1 squared is a positive 1. Times negative 2 is negative 2. Okay, then we have negative 1 times 5, that's negative 5, right? Plus 3. Now we just combine. So we have what? Negative 2. That turns into positive 2, right? Minus 5 plus 3. Well, how about 5, right? So P of negative 1 is 5. All right, let's plug in 2 now. Substitute in 2, same thing. Open parentheses. We have 2 squared times negative 2 plus 5 times 2 plus 3. 2 squared is 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, right? 5 times 2 is 10 plus 3, that's 13. So we have negative 8 plus 13, that's 5. So P of 2, the way you write your answer, P of 2 equals 5. That way everybody knows you substituted in 2, and you got 5 when you did so. There's the answers to 11 and 12. Okay, so we're moving on to 13. Because now they want us to take and plug in variables and not numbers, right? But the process is the same. We're just going to replace the x with the a. That's all you're doing. So we got 4a squared, right, minus 3. And when you simplify that, it's 4a squared minus 3. There's nothing you can do. All we're doing is replacing the x with that variable. All right, 14. All right, so actually let's move on to 15. 3RA, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to put 3R, right? And then I'm going to put in what? I'm going to put in the 1 plus 3 times A in parentheses, right? And then we're just going to simplify. What do you get? Well, 3a plus 1, right? So you get 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 3 is 9, you get 3 plus 9a. 14, R2a, right? So they want us, so when it's R2a, they want us to use the 1 plus 3x to substitute in 2a. So 1 plus 3, parentheses 2a, you get 1 plus 6a. Pretty straightforward. All right, 15. We got, I'm sorry, not 15, 16. Negative 4 p of a. So we're going to use which one, right? We're going to use the p of x, substitute in the negative 4p. Negative 4 times 4a squared, don't forget our squared, minus 3. So what's 4a squared? Well, that's 16a squared, right? Times the negative 4. That's negative 64a squared. 4 times 3 is 12, be positive 12. There's the answers to 17 and 18. It's all the same stuff. And that's all we have time for today. Thanks, boys and girls, for showing up. And remember, math, math, math. Get out and do some math.